Before we get started, I just want to say I have years of experience working at companies big and small, some Fortune 500, some Fortune negative 50 million. I've worked with different tools, the whole 9 yards. I love the whole spectrum of technical work. This video will be informed by my personal experience as a software developer and just what I'm seeing with my own two eyes. All that to say, I think the CS job market is absolutely cooked, especially for new grads, but cooked overall for sure. And I think going forward, this will be the case for the whole job market. When I'm scrolling social media or watching videos on the topic, it feels like everyone's lying. Maybe that's just the algorithm fucking with me, but every scroll is someone telling you that you have to leak code and do personal projects to get the job, or some billionaire saying that AI is going to make the job market 100 times better and everyone is going to be rolling in dough and starting businesses. It's not that I think those things are 100% true, I just think they're about 1% of the truth. Leak code and personal projects will help you get a job. Some people have and will start businesses powered by AI, and AI will create new jobs and change existing roles. But for most non-FANG jobs, they don't give a fuck if you leak code. AI-powered businesses won't need droves of people to make the company work. They won't hire a team of developers. They won't hire a team of anything. Hence the AI-powered part of the AI-powered business. And lastly, AI will change existing jobs, but only in ways that improve efficiency. And the bottom line, this means roles will have more ownership over tasks and higher expectations, but this does not mean more jobs and more hiring. But let's add some structure to this video. First, I'll talk about my experience thus far and how things have been, in my eyes, in this declining CS market and what I would recommend everyone do moving forward. Coming out of college, I was already an underperformer. And by underperformer, I mean I wasn't getting a perfect 4.0 GPA. And I finished my senior year not having any internship experience under my belt. After I graduated, I was able to find an IT internship, but I wasn't coding, nothing software related. I was just plugging in switches for $15 an hour. From there, I probably applied to hundreds and hundreds of software related roles, and I got nothing back until I said fuck it and did what I recommend to anyone just now trying to break into the industry. I lied. Not a big lie, but a small lie. Maybe 3 small lies. I lied and said that my GPA was 0.5 higher than it actually was. I lied and said I completed a whole project using a framework I barely understood, and that I used an API I didn't understand. And lastly, I lied and said that I had an internship experience that I didn't actually have. Before anyone judges me, remember, I'm employed, and if you're watching this video, you probably are not employed. I'm just kidding, but not really. I know it's rough out there. But it worked. Whether it be perfect timing or a combination of my lies paying off, it didn't matter. It worked, and I got called in for an interview. I spent the next week leading up to the interview cramming and learning all the shit I said I knew on my resume that I didn't actually know. And on the day of the interview, I did okay, and I was lucky enough to get the job a couple days later. So what's the lesson here I want to share? The lesson is to lie. Now, don't get me confused. I'm not saying to lie your ass off and say you got a perfect 4.0, you had internships at Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, and that you know Elon Musk personally. I'm saying you should lie within your ability. I knew I was smart. I knew that everything I lied about I could make into the truth in a short period of time. So lie within your ability. That way, if you ever get the opportunity, you can buckle down and become as much of an expert as you lied and said you were. The goal is to get the interview. Plus, I can guarantee you these hiring teams, most of the time, aren't even validating any of the shit you put on your resume. A bachelor's degree isn't anything spectacular. A good GPA isn't anything spectacular, and knowing a little bit about a framework isn't anything spectacular. they don't care to double check or validate any of that. They aren't going to call your school to check your GPA. A lot of these jobs aren't even going to ask you for your transcript. They won't even check to see if the company you put on your resume is a real company. So no point in being Mr. Goody Two Shoes and being 100% truthful on your resume, only for you not to get the interview and to be left behind. If you choose to be a Goody Two Shoes, that means no money, no gold, no doubloons for you. The CS market is officially for dogs. It's not 2021. If you're not a dog, you're going to have a hard time in 2026. And you might be saying, you can't just use an example of one time you succeeded and pass it on as the truth. And you're right. That's why I didn't do it just once. I did it 4 times successfully. I've been employed by 4 companies, all of which I liked. Some were Fortune 500. I've scored the interview countless times, and I've helped other people score job interviews, not just in the CS market. Like I said, don't lie outside of what you're actually capable of. The goal is to get the interview, and that's it. If you're someone who can get things done, then this will be no issue for you. My next recommendation might be tough for some people, but it's that you have to always keep learning. If you think you're gonna ride your bachelor's degree into the sunset, you're wrong. Actually, if you think this, you might be too far gone already. You should always be learning, and you should always try to keep yourself competitive. Every position I've held, I've been working towards some sort of certificate or completing a degree in the background. Back when they actually meant something, the first thing I did when I scored my first job was get more certificates. I got front-end certificates, back-end certificates. I read up on new technologies that we were using at the time that I wasn't even allowed to touch. And I even enrolled in a master's program. Actually, 2 master's programs, but I'll talk about that later in the video. As time goes on, the size of teams and software developers and software engineers is just going to keep shrinking because of AI. Who the company decides to hire and fire is going to come down to a fine line. A bachelor's degree is basically the new GED, and a master's degree is the new bachelor's degree. And if you want to remain competitive, I recommend you start on this yesterday. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't have time to go to school on the side or work on these extra certificates, you do have time. Unless you have children, you sleep 8 hours, you work 8 hours, and now you have a whole 8 hours left. And no, I don't mean be a full-time student. You don't have to be a full-time master's student. You can do it part-time. You should be fully employed, preferably full-time, but you get what you can get. And take as many classes as you can. This will help you move up in the current company you're at, or just finding a new job. And overall, it'll just make you seem more valuable. And you might actually end up learning something valuable, but the most important piece is to have the paper to say that you graduated and that you have these certificates and these master's degrees and whatever. Many of these hiring and recruiting teams don't know a lick about tech. All they see is that you have a graduate degree and a shitload of certificates, and you at least get called in for the interview. My third recommendation. This one's the shortest and the sweetest. It's simply just implementing AI into your workflow. Sadly, saying that you read the documentation or that you read documentation means nothing anymore. Saying you've implemented AI into your workflow and that it improves your productivity 100% is all that matters now, sadly. And my last recommendation, probably the most important rec I can give, have a backup plan. Why would you want all your eggs in one basket? At this point, we don't know how long this CS career path thing is going to be viable for. Not even just for regular Joes. I'm talking even for the super quant overachiever types. Earlier, I mentioned that I enrolled in 2 master's programs. Obviously, one of the master's programs was a CS program, but the second program was an MBA. An MBA is the backup of all backups. You get an MBA to do literally anything. Manager, financial whatever, professional dog walker, underwater gamer, all of it is covered under the MBA umbrella. And that is it. The job market is fucked, and we gotta do what we gotta do. Thanks for watching, If you agree with my recs, shoot me a like. If you disagree, hit me with a dislike. If you've got some recs of your own, throw them in the comments. I'll probably have another upload ready sometime this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that.